what I come with tonight. I haven't been able to get out of my mind what the last caller of last week on Balance Matters, the very last caller, what she presented. But before I get into recognizing her contribution, because she was a very brave person, I want to give condolences, my deepest condolences, to the family of the last murder victim, Joia Reyna. I believe I got the name correct. If I'm making a mistake on his first name, please forgive me. Joia Reyna. Murdered at his residence. I just finished talking to one of the family members. Told me that he was murdered at his residence. I wasn't sure, according to how some of the reports were being reported in between, but certainly I thank the family member for giving me clarity that it was at his house that he was murdered, and the dog was killed at the same time. My deepest condolences go out to the family, the loved ones, and friends of the last murdered victim in our island here in Bermuda. I don't know what is it that we need to have done to us for us to demonstrate that we just don't accept and don't go along with the outcomes of such acts. The last caller last week, her presentation, she described herself in her presentation. She described herself as an elderly woman, an elderly person. Before she concluded her information sharing, I could hear that she was about to break down and cry. I heard that in her voice. And many people that had stopped me along the way that heard the show, they said they just couldn't get over how they felt when they heard the cry, not just the cry in sound, but the crying out of help from an elderly person. She says, you know, they're coming after her now because she spoke up. And I'm certain that she's referring to unacceptable acts, maybe criminal acts that she wanted to share information about. She says she spoke up, but now they're coming after her. She said she's tired. She can't take it no longer. She said, if you stand up, they come after you. If you speak out, they come after you. They're not coming from the front of the house anymore, she says. They're coming from behind the house now because they're finding ways to get at you. I'm going to stop there in light of what that caller wanted us to hear as the Bermuda public She's calling out to the Bermuda public. She said, I had been to the police. They said they could only do so much. And she mentioned that they weren't even willing to come and take fingerprints for whatever she was talking about. I'm only speaking how she presented it. She said she didn't know where to turn after that. Now, I'm not saying the police were wrong. I'm just saying the sentiments of this person was she went to the authorities and expected more, and she didn't get more. Was she mistreated by the police? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying she had a feeling that she thought it was going to be a better outcome after she called the authorities, because she wanted to do her civic duty and work with the police in dealing with matters that fall under the category of unacceptable behavior. Now, she didn't say exactly what she was talking to the police about. She never said that, and I'm glad she didn't. But I do know she said enough for us who were listening to know that she was crying out for us not to just stereotype young people for doing these heinous crimes and making life hell for other people in this country by the acts that they are demonstrating. Unnecessary loss of life. She says it's not just young people doing it anymore. And we've got to stop looking at just young people. And she is right. I'm appealing to you, dear listening audience. Tonight, I chose not to go and put pen to paper like I normally would to do an elaborate or a reasonable monologue. I didn't want to do that tonight. I couldn't find the spirit to bring something new to you tonight, dear listening audience. What's the sense of, one of my mentors said, if you're not using the information that you already have to make life better for you, what's the sense of continuing to collect information and not use it? It's no different than a jackass having books on his back, not using them wisely. Because you know what an ass is, it's not one of the smartest animals that you could speak about. So some of us, based on what we have as knowledge and information and even experience, some of us, because we're not doing anything useful and worthwhile with what we have, what's the sense of collecting more and more information and we're not using what we already have? That's the way I feel today. How much more can we talk about and not talk to the issues of the day that's more important? I have a reminder here, a very short reminder. And it's intended for us to look at very specifically, simply, but seriously, and of great value if our minds are open to do the best we can with the discussions and the information that we share tonight. I'm begging you, dear listening audience, to question your value and reconsider how we are responding to the needs that we have, or lack of response to the needs that we have. Either way, I'm calling on you tonight The need for us to be responsible for ourselves. The need for us to be responsible for our families and our houses. We need to speak to the need that we must take up in taking care of our apartments, so we could have good relationship with landlords and tenants. We need to be responsible in managing these affairs having to do with our neighborhoods. If we don't accept responsibility for our children in the neighborhood, what do we think will happen to those children? So we have a need for us to be responsible for our children. We need to be responsible for our parish. And we need to accept a duty and a responsibility to address the trouble in our neighborhoods / parishes. Because we're a small island home. We know each other from one end to the other, many of us. This is the bigger issue of the night. This is the bigger issues of the day. In our communities, these issues are the bigger issues right now. If and when we see what will be the benefits if we are to accept responsibility in the areas that I just finished expressing. So, dear listening audience, that's my opening for tonight, and I don't have a further monologue. I've just explained to you that we need to talk about these issues. We need to have ourselves be heard more so we could have a greater confidence in our ability to work on and make things better by addressing the immediate concerns that threatens a better future for us. The number is 297-1027. We're talking Balance Matters. Tonight, I feel as though we all need to be tested tonight. We're on the sidelines looking at the other person and waiting for them to participate. Is that the best that we can do? Is that the acceptable thing to do? How often have we recognized that a person would express themselves and that initial expression gets others to have a good reason to reflect? Like last week, the minute that caller went off last week, the elderly caller who was hurting inside, she says she just can't take it no more. You stand up and they want to come after you, she says. When she went off, every green light that's on this telephone system flashed because I understood how that particular caller might have affected the listeners. I am certain that we don't need to put new stuff onto whatever we have. We need to develop and evolve what we have. We need to spend some time in looking at the more simple but great valued assets that will allow us to claim and manage the life that we want for ourselves. The number is 297-1027. We're talking Balance Matters. When we say to ourselves, we need to accept responsibility for ourselves, what comes to mind? That alone, if we were to be in the business of wanting to share and help to move forward in addressing the more important things, how difficult it is for us to clear up in our minds when we say we need to be responsible for ourselves. How often have I said to callers that too often, in my humble view, and I stand to be corrected, that we look for other institutions to give us what we should be striving for and accepting responsibility for our own business. The families that we come from, the government is not responsible for our families. How often did we hear when we were younger that if you can't afford a child, you shouldn't make one? Now, that's not to say, oh, and when you start having pregnancies because you think you can't afford to have the child, that you're going to go have an abortion. I'm not saying that. I'm not suggesting that at all. If we are not in the position to take care of a child in the way that a child deserves to be cared for, we shouldn't go through the act that's going to produce a child. Our houses, when we are raising families, after we start a family, our houses is not the responsibility of outsiders. What takes place in that house and how that house is managed falls squarely on the owners or the parents or the inhabitants that accepts accountability of that property, and however that property needs to be taken care of. It's the individual who has accepted to be responsible for that house. It's their duty to find what's necessary to accommodate the needs for that house. Finances, material, workmanship. Whose responsibility is that? Apartments that we live in, should treat the apartments that we rent as though it is ours. Now, if you're going to disrespect your own property, your own material assets by abusing them, destroying the utilities in the apartment by way of abusive treatment that could be prevented if you were to be more careful and desirous of being protective of the material in the apartment, the utilities in the apartment. When we treat someone else's property that we may be renting like it's ours, then I would expect that we will care for it and manage it in a way that would be admirable by anyone that's observing the way we're living in that apartment. We're talking about accepting responsibility, the need to be responsible. Our neighborhood and our children in the neighborhood. When we look at what shapes a child, they say the environment that that child grows up in helps to shape the attitude of that child. And oftentimes, if the messages, the images that's in his environment that starts out from within the home first, then it goes out into the neighborhood, because that's where your children learn to socialize and learn how to work with other people and benefit from more experienced people. The neighborhood is the beginning stages of that child getting to see what the society, the greater society will be faced with when he branches out into bigger things. More responsibility, more people, more serious matters. But that child, they get started off at the home. Our children get their start. Their first teacher is mother. And when you have a mother that conditions you to respect your surroundings, the child's surroundings, and to appreciate the value of information, which is sharing of knowledge, having that child to understand and be disciplined in managing themselves. No outside influence should be responsible for that. The cricket club or the football club or the running club. Those shouldn't be the babysitters. They should be the ones that take your child and get to see the gifts of your child, and then allow your child to grow from the stage that he has, that he comes with from the mother and the family. The other institutions build on to what the family gives the child. Make no mistake, the first teacher of the child is the mother, not the school teacher, not the Sunday school teacher. So the mother has to have her head on straight as understanding and knowing what's best for her child, for the family to produce the needs of that child, so that child's assets, their potential, can be, I'll say, brought out of them. See, the right environment, but they say, one writer puts it this way, the right environment stretches your imagination and makes you reach out for more and more things to build on to what you already have. It motivates you. A child with self-esteem, they would take the marketplace as being a great tool shop for them to work out in, the marketplace. But that child has to be prepared correctly for them to naturally act out what the Creator put in him, and which is what? To bring out the best of themselves. Oh, life, when you study life, life's involvement requires that it starts off simple and it bears fruit later. It produces something later. Nor am I discouraging higher education. I'm simply saying those are not the bigger issues right now. To have somebody to be looking for the material goods and the economic goods and the status that seems to identify us these days, the right and the more bigger picture to do, the bigger issues right now is that we address the relevance of the day. And if we are not bothered by the loss of our people's lives unnecessarily, what does that say about our what does it say about us? The number is 297-1027. We're talking Balance Matters. I'm going to play some music and hope that you would give some thought to what I'm trying to do tonight. Too, my friend.
Yes, bro. I've been amongst the missing here lately. I've been on the high seas trying to make a living.
I'm glad
Hey, well, I tell you, during that night shift, you know, and then seeing the whales and everything all around us. It's amazing how God has made these animals.
Yes.
And so they communicate overnight. It's really my mate. he was really upset because he heard these noises, and I said, "Well, it's just the whales talking to each other,
Yeah, wow.
making plans, for breakfast in the morning. Because you hear them
Yes.
flapping their fins on the water and exercising, and things like that. It's really fascinating.
Yes,
But the
Justin.
reason why I'm saying this is because, the president had on my boat, right? I
Yes.
mean, he hasn't experienced anything like that.
Uh-huh.
He asks us a lot of questions, about
Yes.
why. I said, well, it's creation,
Yes.
So long that you don't poke with them, Wills, they're your friends. They come up, and they blow a lot of this stuff out of their, what's it called now, out of their head, right?
Yes.
And of course, it smells. It's a very
okay.
horrible smell, right?
Uh-huh.
But see, you have to get used to that,
You're the first
So
one. You're the first person I've ever heard say that. I didn't even know that stuff smelled. I've never heard anybody or read anything about that before.
Yeah.
It smells, huh? Wow.
Oh yeah, because all the stuff they eat.
Yes.
But they come around, show themselves, and they go underneath my boat. And
Yes.
What I noticed also that the female comes first, and she scrapes all those barn knuckles that grow on them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, apparently because they're making a long travel to somewhere else, right?
Yes.
They must be light.
Yes.
Not all that weight that's on them.
Yes.
It's really amazing how that happens, because they're animals.
Yes.
And they need to know they're traveling, they need to take all that weight off.
Yes.
And then what I have noticed also, after she leaves from scraping herself,
Yes.
here comes the female. I mean, not the male, the calf.
Yeah, okay.
Does the same thing.
Mm.
See? And this is what we need to have these type of conversations, because we have to teach our children.
Yes.
I'm so sad to hear another gunshot.
Yes, man.
Murder.
Yes, man.
Assassination, whatever you want to call it, it's terrible. And more hands on deck, right?
Yes.
Could sort of ease this up or stop it automatically.
Yes.
Because it has to stop.
Yes.
Because we have to teach our children, man, the right way. If they don't want to learn, there's consequences.
Yes.
And I hope to God that the person that done this, right, is found, shortly, soon.
Yes. I do too.
Yeah. Because this has to be, and I thought by having these bins out there and where the guys can put their tools in these bins, will sort of ease things off.
Yes.
It stopped for a while, but it sort of got right back to the same thing. I heard this clip on Facebook where these questions were asked to the head of the department. What is his name now? Darren Simons.
Yes.
Asking some serious questions about the gangs. Now, the question was, how many gangs in Bermuda? And of course, he said that there's about 3. He said, do they, he asked the question of the person, the reporter. Remind me of Ciara Wilson.
Yes.
Because she asked them fundamental questions, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so he says, well, they have an idea. They know, right? But I wish to God they would go around, right, and really look at these guys, right, and have a conversation. And also, they're doing something, arrest them.
Yes.
They have to do something.
Yes.
The public.
Yes.
If they got cameras, please submit that.
Yes.
Because we need our young people to run this country.
Look, man.
It's like the whales out there. Anything comes close to that calf, right?
Yes.
They're taking them out.
Yes.
And I must tell you a story about this whale. My mate told me the other day he was up north, right, fishing.
Yes.
Of course, he pulled his anchor up, but the fish stopped biting. He started heading to another spot.
Yes.
But you have the throttle pushed up, right?
Yes.
And of course, this whale must have heard the vibration coming through the water. So he came out of the water, right, and head straight for that boat. My mate said too, he says, brother, I had to pull that wheel hard to get away from that wheel coming at him.
Wow.
See that? So that's protection.
Yes.
You see?
And any threat to the whale, he responded.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Because the guy was heading for change the spot.
Yes.
You see? So he was getting in the way of the calf.
Yes.
So the mother responded.
Yes.
You see?
See, look, my dear brother, I'm so appreciative of what this scenario that you're using as a teaching tool. Look, for years I've had many different supports to the storyline which says all life, regardless of what life you may find, it has built in it a survival mechanism that's intended to protect itself from any threats.
Absolutely.
Look, I remember reading about a worm, these little worms that you find in the garden. This is what one of the specialists said. Even the worm, his only protection from you is to roll up in a ball. As long as it's crawling, he doesn't think that it's being threatened. But the minute you come close and he feels your vibration, he curls up. The worm curls up, and he looks like a little round circle.
Yeah.
So it's harder for you to get at that worm looking so small, and you have to use more pressure if you want to kill that worm than you would if he was straight out. You could break him in half real quick. But once he goes in a bowl, you're going to have to put extra effort to deal with that worm.
Yeah.
And if he crawls up into that little bowl real quick, it's hard for you to identify him because he's now a little smaller than what he was.
That's right.
So this particular writer said, even the little flimsy worm does the best he could to protect himself when he feels an imminent threat coming towards him. So the question being, what has happened to the most intelligent, the most special of God's creation? What has happened to us where we are not reacting in defense of the threat coming against our life as a people, as a society? What has happened to us where we've lost our natural behavior? Why is it that we don't want to spend some time? That's why I'm telling you, brother, this is one of the few times I've ever felt like I'm feeling tonight over the last 20 years that I've been doing talk radio, that when it comes around to me wanting to write something new, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, brother. I just didn't want to come down there and entertain people with more knowledge and information when we're not using what we have in front of us to suggest to ourselves that, hey, we need to stop and protect ourselves and show that we care about one another.
The love has to be there, man. You know, the love. There's something going on in our society. But it's something in our society, man, that it's really got me puzzled. You know what I mean? It's really got me, upset. You know, I'm not perfect, people. I'm not perfect. But I'm saying
none of us are perfect.
Life,
man.
A life, man, is so precious.
Yes.
That life has to be nurtured.
Yes.
It has to be, but they must know about responsibility.
Yes.
And for somebody to come around, and I'm hearing these guys are going around like targeting. They're sort of setting up a roadmap or whatever, how to deal with assassinating somebody. This is what's coming out of the police report.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
How could that be in this society? And I hope to God, right? I'm repeating myself about the person that brought them guns in, right?
Yes.
Where they caught this police officer, a sergeant.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I hope to God, man, they get him in court soon because they're saying the courts are clogged up. Now, I'm repeating myself over because you know why? This is so important to our humanity.
Yes, mate.
You see?
Yes.
He has to get in court to answer how many guns did he bring in, right?
Yes. So
this has to be brought out into the public.
Yes.
Because everybody that does this type of action needs to be held accountable.
Every institution needs to be accountable, man.
Yes.
And the guilty parties needs to be brought to the fore.
Absolutely. They can't go around. They can't go around this because it's attacking, right? These guns, right? In a place like Bermuda, right? We don't need them here. And the people that do that have to be held accountable.
Look,
And then we have to send a message to the person that does that. A clear message.
What we must understand, as much as we don't welcome these acts, but when the acts are in front of us, we're going to act. We can no longer point at the guilty party. We're now going to make sure we address the guilty party, deal with them, make them accountable, and remove them from society in a responsible way until they learn something so they could be treated better. So, we can't stop what somebody does.
Right.
But we could make sure that we say it's unacceptable and we're not going to allow you to do it in front of us without you having to pay a price. See, we can't stop them from thinking like they think. Like whoever wants to try to do the stuff, we can't stop them, but we can sure deal with them when we find out who they are.
Absolutely.
And that's what I say to us as a people. We can no longer pass the buck on to someone else and say, we're going to wait on the sidelines and hope that someone else does it.
You're right.
Well, look, you got the lines flashing down here. So
okay, my brother.
I'm going to let you go. And if it gets too quiet down here, if you want to call back a second time, do so, boy.
Okay, my brother.
Have the rest of a great evening, dear Crofty.
Yes.
And I'm glad you came off the high seas safely.
Pardon?
I'm glad you came off the high seas safely.
Hey, my brother, I appreciate that too, man.
Yes, man.
Because, hey, we're going to see about people.
Yes. Have the rest of a great evening.
Bro. Yeah, you too, bro.
Calling on Balance Matters.
Good evening, Mr. Shakir.
Good evening to you too, sir.
Yes, it's been some time.
Good hearing your voice. Good hearing your voice.
Likewise.
Yes.
I listen in.
Yes.
And I've been digesting, as you said earlier, much information.
Yes.
And I felt it was necessary through the things that I have been digesting, as far as information, to just pause and listen to our community and the outcry of our community. I need to say this to my fellow Bermudians, more specifically to our black Bermudians.
Yes.
I'm going to be real tonight.
Yes.
And if you allow me just some room, I'm not going to take up too much time, but more specifically to our black Bermudians.
Yes, sir.
We have, as Malcolm said, been bamboozled and hoodwinked. Now, I'm here to tell you, in my truth and what I see taking place in this time, is that the colonial master will not allow us to be free. I'll say it again. The colonial master will not allow us to be free in regards to operating in a system that he has designed. I am free. I'm a free black man. You're a free black man. And there are many of us out here who are consciously awoken. And we walk and talk in a manner that spiritually allows us to be free. But when we talk about in the context of living in this society, come on, people, we are operating in someone else's system. They are the architects, orchestrators. They play that piano really well. And they've been playing it for a long time. Well, what do I mean, if you were to ask me? Well, it's four things in my opinion, and you may have heard it from other scholars, but it's 4 things that you need to earn and control in your community. You need to earn as far as grocery store, which is you need to be able to feed yourself. You need to be able to clothe yourself. You need to be able to earn and control and have shelter for yourself. And you need to have a bank to be able to take your money and you put it in your bank or you put it in your depository. And you need to protect it. These 4 things with your life. We have been sold a bad steak, a bad case of eggs, a bad case of everything, Mr. Shakir. And we're wondering why we are where we are. The colonial master earns and controls the military of this country. And we're saying, what can we do? Don't be waiting for the police, the regiment, nor our Progressive Labor Party. If we're going to save our young people from this sickening and evil stuff that's going on, we have to form coalitions amongst ourselves, and we need to press those persons whom they may be that are got the power. We need to push them and press them. We did it for centuries when we were in worse conditions. When the master had us in worse conditions, people.
Yes.
He said we weren't human. We had changed. We had all of it ripped and beat. And the amount of people we lost, we have gallantly, in our strength and poise, what God has given us to be able to come out of that.
Yes.
To turn around and say, as you said earlier, it's great that we have PhDs and this type of D and MD and this D and all them type of Ds. But we lack the strength to save our own community.
Look, hold up right there, my dear brother, Mr. Grant.
Mm-hmm.
Let me remind myself as I say this to you. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the teacher of Malcolm X, Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, the one who he held to in high esteem for bringing him up out of the gutter and standing him up to be a man. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was credited for doing that for Malcolm. Malcolm said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to his followers, if you go to school and are given information and you come back looking for a job rather than creating your own job or addressing outsiders and overlooking the inside, meaning taking care of home first before you spread your value to someone else. If you're not able to do that, you weren't properly educated. You were trained.
Mm.
See, education allows you to accommodate your needs. Mm-hmm. And when an individual looks outside of themselves and gives their value to other needs, other institutions, other people, other circumstances, other neighborhoods, other relatives, not relatives, colleagues. If we give ourselves to everything else and we're not able to demonstrate the best of ourselves with our own, we have been trained to survive in the system. You haven't been educated to create your own. There lies the difference. That dehumanizing that you were speaking about, brother, this leader that I'm so thankful to have made contact with in my mid-teens, where I was able to make contact with information that says, hey, collect your value of self first. Don't be chasing this other stuff and forgetting yourself. You need an education that's going to return you back to your natural self, because you were dehumanized and treated like an animal. They gave you misinformation and got you to see other than who you really are. Until you claim that which is going to allow you to be who you are first. That's why I brought out this simple but strong reminder that, and I'm going to read this once again while you're on, the need for us to be responsible for ourselves, our families, our houses and our apartments, our neighborhoods and our children, our parish, and the trouble in our neighborhoods and parishes. That is the bigger issue right now. If we don't see that, something's wrong with us, man.
Well, Mr.
I don't know what else to cry out anymore, man.
I say this much, that when we look at the wrong and the right, or I look at it like this here, and I was taught something just the other day. When we look at the word complexity, and if you were to ask each and every individual to describe that word complexity, most people will come up with different versions for themselves.
Yes.
But I learned something the other day in reference to when I look at complexity, and if you want to describe it, well, if I take another word, simplicity,
yes,
then simplicity or complexity is basically the opposite.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Now, I learned a long time ago from one of my teachers when he told me that knowledge is power.
Yes.
But information is real power, and how you utilize it for the benefit of your people.
Yes.
We have so much misinformation circulating that it has many people in this chaos that people don't even know who they are. Not all, but you have a generation of people who they don't know who they are. And we have people who truly want to even change the outside of themselves. This is how deep this thing is. I have a solution, people. As many of us have some solutions because we're speaking on it. Weekly, daily. But I say to each and every one of you that's listening, if you continue to do your part, if you are consciously awoken, like myself and Mr. Shakir and others who are awoken, then continue to do your part as Mr. Shakir has instructed us in our communities, in our parish, in our neighborhoods, in our house. Continue to do that, one by one. And we may not see, because we may transition on, we may not see all of this work that we're doing, but it will come. Because the end of the world for this brother who came into the world is coming to an end. The Caucasian man's world is coming to an end. We see it, what's happening around the world. It's coming to an end. The colored people of the world are rising up. Now, that is not to shun anyone in the European community. Because as I tell my white friends, as I tell my white friends who I sit down and rap with and talk with, I don't focus on nobody else but our community and the love I have for our people. Because too long we've been looking at those people, these people, their people, instead of looking at ourselves. And when it concerns taking the young people and mentoring them, that's what I've been busy doing. And trying to get them to see things differently because of the lies that have been told and shown us daily, systematically. And you are, Mr. Shakir, you are seasoned veteran, a general, 5-star general, as well as others that I know, 5-star generals, because you're my elder. And I have seen the works that all of you have done. But rest assured, you have a younger generation such as myself and others. We are taking the mantle to try and attempt to change this. All is not in vain. You said an elder was on last week and she was crying out to us. I want to assure that elder tonight, all is not in vain.
Yes.
We are prepared to battle. And it's not the battle that everybody thinks. Everybody thinks it's got to be this battle of war and it's weaponry and all. No. The battle is about educating our young people. Not about the system, as you said, that we're trained under, but that system in reference to who they are and the greatness that's within them, because God has promised us many things. And he said, when it concerns the God that is with each and every one of us and the greatness that's in each and every one of us, we need to start to look at each other, see each other, and help each other bring out the greatness that is in each and every one of us, because we're all here to serve humanity and serve this earth, Mother Earth. And I believe we can do it. I thank you, Mr. Shakir, for the time, and I will continue to listen in, and I will participate at different times. Sir.
I thank you very much for your contribution, and I'm certain that when we leave our minds open to hear the points of view that people like yourselves have sincerely promoted, we would do well when we could exchange and have each other hear our viewpoints and differences, even though we may not see similarly on everything. I believe that when we look at what we have, we're all traveling down the same path. Those of us who sincerely want to find solutions, we are on the same path. And I'm happy to hear people like yourselves and others that take the risk in having people to understand where your mind is at. Because some of us, we just fear wanting other people to know how we really think. And that's unfortunate that we have that fear. But thank you very much, my dear brother. Have the rest of a great evening.
Brother. You as well, and your family.
Yeah.
Bless.
Yes. The number is 297-1027. We're talking Balance Matters. The brother mentioned some things that really got my attention. I was struggling not to interrupt because he caused my mind to go in so many different directions, which was good. And when I reflect on a respected leader's comment that I read one time ago, and I took note, and I'm going to repeat it as I reflect on it, that all the trouble for the innocent. Now listen to this. Please be open to this. All the troubles for the innocent are nothing but trials and tests in a refiner's fire to drive out from us the impurities so that we will become a pure people. Now, why I latched on to that tonight? See, we do know that, we live and see a whole lot of stuff going on around us. The key thing is the most valuable amongst us are the ones that's innocent from wrongdoing and mistreatment of one another. Those of us who are innocent, we're the ones that's expected to find a way to protect ourselves for a better future. It's not the first time that humankind has been tested with some difficulties that brought death and destruction to mankind. This is not the first time. But what has always been consistent, the innocent amongst us who love and care for the future of humankind, we are the ones expected to demonstrate what's best for us to find solutions to our greater problems that we have. And this particular student, not student, but he's a leader, and I consider myself a student. He's saying that when we think about these challenges that we have, the innocent have a challenge, and that challenge is nothing but a test. Just like iron ore is put into the fire and it's heated to the maximum heat it can achieve, and the impurities come to the top, and they scrape the impurities off the iron ore, the liquid iron, and the more heat they put to the liquid iron, the stronger the material will come, and they refine it. And they say the more heat that they put on that iron, that liquid iron, by the time it sets up, it's hard enough to resist corrosion, and it will last a long, long, long time before it becomes defected. So the difficulties that we find ourselves in as innocent people, we're to consider looking at these things are nothing but a test. And most times intelligent people find information so as to prepare themselves to pass the test when they have one. They go research and pass the test when they have one. Corley on Balance Matters.
Yes, Mr. Crumble. First of all, I want to thank you for using your voice. Thank you for your platform. Thank you for sharing a positive message with the world. I just tuned in maybe 5 minutes ago, and while I agree with everything that I've heard within the last 5 minutes, for me, and this is me speaking to you, right, and the masses right now, it's not good enough for me. It's not good enough, because if we were living in a time period when we didn't have access to technology, to whereas information was accessible and right there in front of us,
yes,
I would be like, yes, it makes perfect sense, but we can't turn a blind eye to the knowledge that, the wealth of knowledge that's right there, the truth that does not always prevail. Like, I have so much that I want to say, but I'll have to call back next week.
No. Take your time, man. Take your time. I hear that you have something, and whatever you have, take the risk in saying it, because I could hear your spirit for you to get the courage to pick up that phone, because I've never heard your voice before. So you seem like a first-time caller. And
I am a first-time caller, but you cut my hair as a child.
Oh, yeah?
So I have enough respect for you. I'm not going to reveal who I am.
No, you don't have to. That's okay. That's okay.
But to the point,
yes.
The world is in turmoil right now.
Yes.
It's chaotic. And for what reason? It's not you, it's not me, it's not the innocent man. It's the person that wants to break down the innocent man. For what?
Yes.
For what reason?
Yes.
We were put on this earth to live amongst each other, to grow with each other in the love that is innate within each and every one of us.
Yes.
Like, let's look at the U.S. I don't want to take it there, but I'm going to take it there.
No, go ahead, man. It's relevant. It's relevant. You can go there and feel no shame.
It is relevant because it's relevant to Bermuda, it's relevant to Africa, it's relevant to France, it's relevant to every other nation in this world. But what I'm trying to say is, we're talking about immigration laws. What's that? We were put on this earth to move freely.
That's right.
And then they want to tell us that, oh, we're living in the free world. What's free about this world? When I'm born into this world, it comes at a price. To live in this world, it comes at a price. When I'm dead and gone, and what I don't know about, my funeral, my burial, it comes at a price. What world are we living in?
Yes.
Like, it just makes no sense to me. And what grinds my gears is that we, the people, have the power to make change. But I came into this within the past 2 years. Like, what remains to be is that influence is superior to independent thought.
Yes.
And
let me say, I'm willing to differ with you on that one there. I'm gonna tell you why.
That's fine.
No, because I'm loving, bro. You don't know what you've done for my soul. It's the spirit that you brought to this firm right now. See, the independent thought, even though it may not be getting what it deserves, it doesn't fall second to other influences. Independent thought, the fact that you have a desire, and I already feel and hear that you want a better way than what you've seen. So that is an independent thought. Your independent thought, as long as you are free as a human being to express what you think would be best in the interest going forward, the possibilities of us finding a solution can come from an independent thought like yours. The idea that you say it should be better. Now, the influences are trying to give us another picture. And you already clearly defined that they're using immigration laws and the way they're using them, they're retrogressive. That they want to take us back. But an independent mind like yours has a greater value, even though you may not be, quote, seen as an influence. That don't mean that down the road you won't become an influence. So this idea of independent thought, never put it second to anything. Never. Because wanting best for yourself is the motivator, and nobody else should be able to take the place of that there. And that comes first. Then we deal with all the other things. And in this case, influences come second, third, and fourth, man.
Okay, so let me clarify right there. I wasn't saying that I believe that independent, that I believe personally that influence is superior to independent thought, because nothing that I believe that I will ever agree with.
Okay, that's good then.
It's repulsive to me.
Okay,
you know.
Okay, yes, and I thank you for at least livening me up to make that to let you hear how I heard it, and I thank you for your correction. Thank you.
And for me personally, that's been a challenge for me because I am an independent thinker, and I pride myself for being an honest person. Yes, I am human just like everybody else. I do slip up, I do fall, I do make poor decisions from time to time. But where I bump heads career-wise, it's because I think independently. I go against the grain. I'm an honest person.
Yes.
But where has that gotten me? As a citizen of Bermuda, I'm displaced left, right, and center by foreign workers. And I have nothing against foreign workers. I do have a background in hospitality. And to that end, I pride myself in being comparable to the stalwarts that made hospitality great in Bermuda.
Yes.
But why am I'm just frustrated because, like, why am I displaced? Why are so many of us displaced and nothing's being done about it?
Yes. You know, you've asked a good question. Now, I often say, you know, that the treatment that we get, most times we find ourselves similar to yourself, questioning why do they prefer to treat us the worst way before we earn, because oftentimes they don't give it to us. For instance, this is one of the motivators that it's helped me make a difference in my 50-odd years of trying to be a community activist. When I hear that from a mentor of mine who was guiding me along the way, he said, listen, don't ever expect those who has gone on record as not giving you what you deserve, regardless of what it is. It could be finances, it could be respect, it could be anything. If they don't give you what you deserve, don't expect them to tell you your value or wait for them to explain how valuable you are. Because if they do that, then they're now obligated to give you your worth in whatever comes along with the value. So that alone holds them back from telling you outright, even though they know your value. That's why they hold your run. They wouldn't hold your run if you didn't have that value, but they can't afford to let you know that because they'll need to give you what's comparable to your value. And they're not willing to do that. So you and I should want to understand that our assets, whatever we bring to the table, we should not settle for anything less than what our value is worthy of. So if we're going to continue to take from people who don't want to give us the respect for our own value, then we're now created the problem for ourselves when we know the difference. But if we never get to know that difference, then we get stuck in the groove and we become the asset and the value to everybody else and not to ourselves. And there lies why this type of conversation we're having on Balanced Matters here tonight, it's a worthy conversation because we need to question, are we really responding to the needs that we have that's going to first recognize our own value? And once we get that corrected, then now I'm going to put myself in position for my value to be benefiting something that is worthy. So hence, over the years, I thank God I found what's more important. And now I'm giving of myself to the things that's intended to move us to the next level because we're a work in progress, man. And unless the people by example demonstrate how they understand it and then expected to do what they have the ability to do, because it's not good enough that we know what not do what we're supposed to do. So most of us are failing because we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, even when we know better. And hence, that's why I'm struggling, but I can't do any different than to beg us to reconsider how we're utilizing our values, man. And in doing so, make better decisions when we get to know what's more important and what's the bigger issues.
I heard what you're saying, but that doesn't.
Go ahead.
That doesn't represent me in any shape or form. Like, I know my worth. I know that I'm valuable. And what I am inclined not to do is question anything, because I know who I am, and I've always known who I was since a tender age, you know?
Yes, that's good. Like, that's good.
I just don't get it, man. I don't understand. I have a paper trail. I have irrefutable evidence to support my case. My case was never heard, right? And I don't know what to say. I'll call back next week. I can't.
Hey, you said enough, my dear brother, and I thank you for picking up the phone. And please don't make this the last time, man. Please don't make this the last time.
Thank you.
Have the rest of a great evening, man. Call you on Balance Matters.
Yes, Brother Shakir.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Crawford back.
Yes,
I really feel for that brother, you know, because of, I guess, his situation.
Yes.
But, you know, I was listening to a bit of on All Fronts the other night.
Yes.
And we had a Constitution lawyer present on that show. And if you were listening, you'd be finding out the things that this order that we have, you know, Constitution order.
Yes.
We have to get rid of that order. In other words, we have to get permission. Now, we don't need no permission, do we? Not if you really want it, but I'm talking about we that think like we.
Yes,
us,
I got you.
Right?
Yes.
So I'm saying that, you know, we have to sort of but do it. Because trying is over.
Yes.
This show, on all fronts, and then right down to Nikita, right?
Yes.
All this, right, is to make us, right, deal with this, this order. Because we can't really do anything. We are a rich Bermuda. We have money here, and we have a lot of common sense.
Yes.
And we can do, if you pay attention, right, to what's coming forward, right, dealing with our Constitution, right, it's going to be a big thing for us. Now, we have to put our heads together and get things ready.
Yes.
Brother Phil, Brother Lou, right?
Yes.
Nikita, all of us, right, are moving toward a movement, right, that should deal with Bermudians. Because we know we're being depleted, right? So we have to do something. Even have these young women now having children, Bermudians. Or if a Bermudian marries a foreigner, well, in this country, it's Bermudian, right? Because we have to replace, right? Get our people back in order. Because this Constitution right now, right, what you have is rotten to the core. We have tried to straighten it up, you know. That's why Brother Phil, thank the Creator for this brother. Because we need people like him, right, to have conversation with us so we can continue to grow. We have to grow.
Mm-hmm.
That's fundamental. The brother that came on before, he was right on point. Brother Glenn knows it. His wife knows it. Everybody that's thinking like us knows it. So anyway, I just hope that this opens up people's minds, because we have to get ready. Because we see what's going on in the other place overseas.
No.
If you need to go CARICOM, let's go CARICOM.
See,
You know? But we watch our borders because we didn't want to hear part of people coming here overloading us.
Mm-hmm.
You see, we can be more trash, more houses built. No, we don't need that. You know, we have to come to sustainable development. That's another issue. That has to be controlled because a lot of people want to think, oh, well, you know, Mom, if this ever happens, we're going to have all these people pouring in there. No. We have to monitor that, put that in place. Because we didn't want Bermuda to be destroyed. It already has, as far as I'm concerned, all these houses here. But, you know, people, let's move forward. Brother Fields got some good things coming up, I'm sure, because God is sort of like, in other words, you'd be surprised. Let's have to explain to people how our Creator talks to me, and a lot of people too, right? Like yourself, Shakira, right? Things to say. Because we have solutions.
Look,
but anyway, I don't want to...
No. I'm hoping that you don't go off the phone right now. Let me touch on something that you said just now when it comes around to law and too many houses and things like that. The Constitution needs to be amended, and I agree in light of what the colonial system intended for us as a people, and we were not thought of as worthy of getting the best of this island when they crafted the Constitution. They didn't think of us as getting the best out of this island. But now I'm reminded that even the fact that we know and we have people like Mr. Phil Pantry bringing forward information that clears up in our mind that we have the opportunity, we have the right, we have the desire to want to correct whatever needs to be corrected. Now, that's why I say the innocent, these challenges in front of us is nothing but a trial. If we say we deserve more, then more people has to come out like Mr. Phil Parachief and add to this subject in a way that gets us to see it clearer and clearer. Now, it's no accident that we haven't gotten the numbers of people that would be necessary for us to have a vote on changing the Constitution, because some people don't see a need for it. Now, that don't mean that it shouldn't happen. It's just that it's not enough of us awake enough to accept that we should not settle for what we have, because it's not giving us what we deserve. So if that's the case, we should spend more time, because we had the right to challenge this.
The right, yeah.
We had the right, as long as there are laws to work within to make a correction, then those who can prove that we should change whatever's preventing us from getting the best out of ourselves and make it better, if that opening is there, then we should continue to strive until we break that door open. So that's the test. That's the challenge. That's the trial that refines us. It shouldn't hurt us and make us angry. We should go and prove to ourselves how bad we want wrong made right.
Yeah, bring God's law, because there's God's law.
Yes.
You know, that's God's law working, right?
Yes, man.
See, when we start to move toward this what He wants us to do as humans, you know?
Yes,
man.
man.
But what can we go wrong?
Look, brother. Look, man. I want to give you some credit on this here right now. I'm going to tell you why, brother. That writing, and I'm going to read it again.
Yeah.
A respected leader who's a mentor of mine noted, and now I'm going to quote, this is the way he really said it, but I didn't want to put this part in to sort of take people's mind, because I do know how some people get when they hear God's name, right? The brother started this comment by saying, praise be to God. All the troubles for the innocent are nothing but trials and tests in a refiner's fire. See, we're in the refiner's fire. See, God is the one that's helping us through this, you know. It's the refiner. He allows us to go through circumstances that cleans us up. But all the trouble for the innocent are nothing but trials and tests in a refiner's fire to drive out from us.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to separate themselves from this, but from us. Drive the impurities out of us so that we will become a pure people, meaning what? Decent, good at heart.
Yeah.
People
and fight what? You can't go wrong. Like I said, anything that we need after that, hey man, it falls right in our, in our humanity. But they have to respect us, and they will respect us.
Yeah, but
right?
I'm gonna say this here.
Okay, yeah,
I'm gonna say this real quick, Crofty.
Yeah.
See, you don't get respect; you earn respect.
Ah.
If we do what we got to do, if somebody chooses not to respect us, it's the other ones that's doing wrong. But when people who admire recognition of things that's worthy of being admired, they give you respect. I'll never forget as a young man, when this particular experience I went through was all over, this person simply looked me in my eye and said, "Man, respect man." I said, "Man, I'm going to have to see exactly what he wanted me to understand in that one." This elderly person was giving me a little heads up that he was recognizing whatever he shared with me or we were sharing with each other. And he ended up saying to me, "Man, respect man." No, well, he wasn't respecting me as a person. He was respecting my knowledge and my intent and my intelligent approach.
That's acknowledgement of life, man.
So you earn respect. You don't look for people to give you respect because sometimes you don't deserve it.
Yeah.
Guilty people don't deserve to be respected. And I'm going to repeat that. Guilty people don't deserve to be respected. And that's why we're going to come out of this life of criminal activity in order to survive. This life of breaking laws, and they're making excuses of why we have to break laws to survive. No, we don't. We don't have to break laws to survive at all.
That's right. That's right, man. We're on a good road right now because you see how these shirts marinate together. All balance matters, and we should mention it too. I should write it down, right? Because remember, they get singing
on all fronts. I think you said.
On all fronts. Yeah. Right. You see how they marinate together?
Yes, sir. I do, man. I do.
And if people don't catch on to what's really going on,
Yeah.
Hey, don't worry, it's gonna move, and hopefully it will come later on because it's definitely got something to work out on this side.
Thank you very much for your contribution, Crofty.
Thank you, my brother.
Have the rest of a great evening, man.
Thank you.
The number is 297-1027. We're talking Balance Matters.
Hey, my man, what's up?
Hey, I'm thankful, man. How are you, boy?
All right. I just wanted to clarify about our constitutional order. Great Britain has made it clear that they have no intention of allowing any revision of our constitutional order. And the only way it can be changed is for us to become independent. Because our constitutional order was advanced to that level in preparation for independence to begin with in 1968.
Yes.
The last time they allowed any change of it. I could be corrected in terms of that particular date, but I do know that at some point they made it clear that our constitutional order is sophisticated enough. Matter of fact, to some degree, it's more sophisticated than some of the independent countries to the south of it. But in order for it to be changed to our liking, the reality is we would have to become independent, which is why many of us are for independence, that have studied the pros and cons of independence anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So Brother Phil Parentiff is one of the guys that I got that from years ago.
Oh.
Because at one point Phil was against independence and for us becoming a republic. And I had spoken to him years ago. I don't know if his feelings have changed in that area. I can't speak for him. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But the reason I've supported the first step towards 7 autonomy is because I feel that is not as big a step in terms of at least giving us the ability to do more for ourselves internationally and otherwise, and certainly market ourselves better, as well as I think have a sense of more self-worth and identity, which is something I was even gathering when I was listening to the young brother there that was saying, man, we don't feel good about ourselves and desiring because of the colonial structure and that's still affecting us in many regards. You know what I mean? Where I think when you grow up in a country that's independent, you have a more positive outlook on your freedoms. And your involvement, and especially in the region, because think about it, countries that are members of CARICOM, to some degree, move around freely, but certainly reach out to each other to support each other when it comes to, if you can't work in your country and be appreciated in the hospitality field, you can certainly easily get a job in their country, which is your neighbor, really, to at least achieve some of your goals. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So even the idea of CARICOM and us unifying as one group in this region of Ireland, rather than trying to allow our citizens to be in a situation where they feel restricted. And I got the opinion that the brother felt restricted, he knows his worth, but the restrictions that come along with colonialism or the so-called free world. But the reality is, mostly black people would feel that way before white people will, because white people are living in a system that they made that suits them.
Yeah.
But we are still, to a large degree, coping and trying to fit in and make our way in the system that ultimately is designed for the way they think. So I wouldn't be surprised that some of our youth, and I'm not saying the brother was, but I know some are disenchanted with the situation, especially when it comes to seeking employment or being valued in Bermuda, without the conflicts of skin identity, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Or color identity.
Yes.
And I just feel, although that's one little part of it, that this independence and not being afraid to involve ourselves in certain regional entities, that we will move closer towards making people of color feel more comfortable in the land we live in.
Mike, let me take something up with you on this point that you're making, on this subject that you're discussing right now. If I was to ask, knowing that we have as a group similar needs, now anybody that's going to argue that, this conversation is not for them. Us as a black community of people that's come from the slave experience, we have similar needs because the systems that were set up against us were set up against us all. They didn't specify separating any one black from the other. They disrespected all blacks, even though they utilized blacks to their benefit, but they never respected them enough to give them what they deserved. Okay, number one. So with us having in our background, we are not used to supporting each other, working with each other to evolve and develop establishments that was kept away from us because of the rotten system that they had under slavery. Now, we're not in slavery no more. We're not in physical chains anymore. If there's any chains we got, it's psychological chains. And if we could get beyond the psychological change, then I would not have to plead like I'm pleading on Balanced Matters Tuesdays for us to talk to each other. Why?
Yeah.
Because
but let's not forget the systemic aspect.
No,
because I agree with you 100%, but also I recognize there's a systemic problem.
I get that. I'm dealing with this one particular point. Right. The systemic thing is another thing. That's a separate one. I'm about to address us seeing the need to consider how important it is to get to a point where we support each other. Before we look at the system, we won't be able to get the better system if we don't understand the value of supporting one another.
My point is, because of the systemic problem, we don't support each other like we could if it didn't exist. But I don't solely blame that. So I know you're coming from a place where you don't solely blame that either. But that's part of the problem in reality. There's other reasons as well that because remember, when it was segregation, we supported each other more than desegregation.
Yeah, because we couldn't spend anywhere else. That's why we supported each other. When we were segregated, we were forced to support each other.
Because with segregation, it made us identify with us being put aside in the system that was theirs. So in other words, they were operating in their system and we was forced to assist each other and create our own system.
No, but we didn't. But Mike, hold up 1 second. We didn't create our own system. We ended up being forced to have our own system because we couldn't be a part of the other system by law.
Well, either way, we wasn't embedded and embed them to the point where we was trying to not think outside the box and support each other. Like today, where we are comfortable, or they made it comfortable for us to go and get the same bank loans, to do everything the way they do it. But, of course, they systematically, which is why I say it's systemic, they systematically don't allow you to get as much in their system, unless you are, exceptional in terms of, don't get me wrong, there are some brothers and some of us that have been very intelligent in coping with the system. But there are many of us that, because we are inherently different in a system that was never designed for us that cannot cope. And therein lies a lot of our problems. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, if I was to take something from this discussion, I would want us to look at, is it beneficial to respond to someone forcing you to do something, or you choosing because you have an option to do it on your own? When we just a minute, Mike. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead.
When out of segregation to mixing with one another, we now were left with a choice, and most people left what they were involved with the black community and went to be a part of the other community. Yeah. They chose to do that. They weren't forced to do that. They chose to do it. So my point being, if we're to examine that action, we were forced to work with one another because of segregation. Integration comes now, you got a chance to make choices of your own. You choose to move away from your brother and go give it to someone that didn't want you a part of them in the first place.
Right.
So which is more beneficial right there?
Well, through these talks and through reasoning and conversation, we certainly can, I'm sure, encourage someone, somewhere, somehow, to do a little better, and maybe be able to cope with the system that's in place.
Yes.
Because it's not going to change overnight.
No, it's not, no.
That's why I appreciate where you're coming from, and you're always trying to encourage us to look, man, you still got to pull your socks up, and you still got to do what you got to do to make it work.
Yes.
And others will feel like, well, you know, no matter what you do, and we can't afford to take that approach.
Yes.
We have to take an approach where we keep trying. I agree with that 100%, but that does not mean that we cannot educate each other about what we may need to do in some areas to fully understand why change may help us do better. And one of those changes, I feel, may be independence, supporting CARICOM, or whatever it takes for some unity, especially when it comes to supporting people within our region, or making us more accountable and collective amongst ourselves that need all the help we can get.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, whites are more comfortable in Bermuda than we are when it comes to the socio-economical situation. You know what I mean? Economic situation.
Yes.
And we need to find ways to do better or help others do better in order to survive in the future Bermuda. You know?
Yes.
Because Bermuda can't stay the same, and you expect us as a people to do better. We know they're going to continue to strive forward, but what must be changed for us to be able to do a little better? And therein lies the question and the efforts going forward in terms of how we accept or don't accept. I mean, many of us are still afraid of independence, you know. Many of us were afraid for the PLP to be voted in. Many of us were afraid of a lot of things. And we talked about during segregation and integration the fact that, you know, there were fears there, which caused us to act differently. So along the way, I feel that our fears have stopped us from doing more to help ourselves. I guess that's the gist of my whole conversation. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much, Mikey. Appreciate it very much.
No problem. Enjoy speaking with you as usual.
I appreciate your contributions as usual as well, my brother. Cool. Thank you kindly.
Cool.
Have the rest of a great evening. The number is 297-1027. we're talking balance matters. The bigger issues right now, I'm a stickler on the bigger issues being relevant. Caller, you on Balance Matters. Caller, you on Balance Matters.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Cromwell.
Good evening.
Yes. You know one thing I didn't like about you when I started to come on the talk show?
What you did? What?
I'm going to tell you, what you said something, the individual is responsible. I want to know why me as an individual should be responsible. It was just a saying. So I read when it came to a national network of individuals, talking about individuals now, the individual is responsible. Now I've got a network of people out there addressing one issue at a time. When one issue comes up, whether it's race relations or getting rid of gangs, it's set to go to the national network of individuals. So I appreciate it after looking up why you said that, Mr. Cromwell.
Yeah.
That we as a black community are going to address what is actually our issues. That's a national network of individuals. We're just looking at our situation as black people. We're not worrying about anybody else. And he says, now these individuals come up and another organizations like Gina Spence, Curve, and Imagine Mr. Barbara.
Yes.
The point is getting this group of people, this national work of any people, and we're addressing one issue at a time. So this point, what I'm trying to say, to solve a little, help some resolutions, or put that thing in there and say, look, this is what we're going to do as a national group of people, body network, to kind of put things so that the children don't have to be going out there killing each other.
Mm-hmm.
So the point is, because you said that, it kind of hurt me in the sense that he won't say why he said it. So I looked up things that basically from as a group of individuals, now we're going to address this situation about getting rid of gang. So the police have to be out there every day. Anyway, get rid of gang. The police are wrong. You can't move.
Mm-hmm.
The point is, it comes to the point. Now the governor becomes involved. It comes to time when if you want to become an independent country, the governor has to leave. But you got to prove you got the you got to prove that you're going to run the regiment. You can run the police. That's what it comes because that's our responsibility. When it comes to that national network of individuals, but if the government's going, and you know what white communities, they think that rock and just cut all ties with Britain. It doesn't work like that. I've read the thing. They put this negative on it that blacks, who the majority, will become an independent nation. No, whites have an issue with it. Like, well, cut ties. You can't cut ties with Britain. And even America, because they were the British Empire at the time. Now we come to this point of being politically emancipated. We have, because you can see it, all black people basically run the country, but not represent the purpose of this group of national network of individuals want to get something done.
Mm-hmm.
So the police has to be out there. So it comes to time when the governor, when you convince the governor that he goes to the dissolved government, it becomes one government. There's no party politics now. Whites have to do their part, white Bermudans, and blacks have to do their part. And black Bermudans have to get rid of gangs because that's a great honor to us as a country. So the point is, the police can be out there all the time. That's your responsibility to protect the words. I mean, making sure these guys don't come wrong, or even in parties, in any function that we have. But that's what cool when you become independent. not even thinking for ourselves. We don't worry about the international business. We're just calling, and that convinces Britain, what we call the common house out there, they can take care of ourselves. We don't need no government. We need somebody who's going to represent us as one government. That's where it comes to when we talk to independence. So now, that's got sort of another problem. Mr. Cromwell?
Yes.
There's a national network of individuals such as someone, Gina Spence, putting it out there, getting the media involved.
Thank you. You're repeating yourself now, so I get your point. Your point is a strong point.
Thank you.
A strong point.
I appreciate that.
In light of that specific point you're making.
That's the way to independence. Once you start doing it for yourself, you need nobody else to help you get rid of gangs. You got the police out there all the time, so where gangs can go.
Yes.
Think about it.
Have the rest of a great evening, my friend.
Anyway, what I'm actually saying, finally the government has to leave now on our own in this, what we consider black art. And history doesn't lie. Bye.
Calling on Balance Matters.
Hey, good evening, Brother Cromwell. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
How you doing?
I'm thankful, man.
Good. Good to hear you. Good to hear the voices. It's been a while.
Yes.
I just want to take up on Mike's point and the previous caller's point. And Mike was alluding to the idea of self-determination and CARICOM and the bit. And I think he's very right from the standpoint of fears, the fears that we as the people have, fearful of moving forward and determining our own destiny, so to speak. I think the narrative has to be shifted. We need to change the narrative in terms of what is it that we want and where is it that we really want to go. Because you're never really independent, right? It's interdependent.
Yes.
And so I think it's about being interdependent with other communities in the country, other nations outside of here, and allowing us to see ourselves in the bigger scheme of things. I found it very interesting that this afternoon or today, sometime today, they honored Gina Swankson. Remember Gina Swankson?
Yes. Miss World.
Miss World, yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put it in a context from the standpoint that, we do some amazing things globally. Not locally, globally. Yet, when it comes to us determining our political destiny, we're uncertain about where we need to go and what we need to do to get there. And I think it's a concentration, in my humble view. We need to concentrate on what it is that we want and spin the narrative, change the narrative. I recall, and you may recall, some time ago when the former Premier Alex Scott created the Independence Commission.
Yes.
And how he brought, for me, it was very successful. In fact, he's the only premier, really, that has moved us in that direction.
Yes.
Where it was buy-in from all segments of the community. All segments of the community. And I think that's the kind of approach that's needed for us to get to where we want to go. We talk about it, but we have to execute the behavior in order for people to feel confident about what it is that we want. And I think, again, this medium and medium similitude in island communication does a wonderful job in allowing us to project our views.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Tavis Smiley, another advocate in the United States, when he started to create the state of the black community, and address. And I think it's those kinds of things that need to occur just so that people can get a sense of, what's the real dynamics. Because we're hearing a whole lot from different angles, and that's fine. Everyone has their view. But I think, as your previous caller said, in some ways, we need to kind of wrap it up or pull all of these entities in so that there is some level of cohesiveness moving forward. Now, this is a mammoth task, don't get me wrong. But I guess the point I want to make is that then we'll see a shift in narrative.
Yes.
Because as long as we're spouting here, and it's all good, it becomes fragmented.
Yes.
So, members within the black community, religious community, economic start to have a conversation about what this looks like. And it doesn't have to be a publicized conversation. I remember when I was at Howard some years ago, when there was a concern of the black community. And I'll never forget, I don't know who organized it, but you had all of the black leaders in America came to Howard University, Louis Farrakhan, Jesse Jackson, a number of them, to discuss the state of the community. It was very quiet. In fact, everybody had left the campus. But what you begin to see were these BMWs and these Mercedes coming in, and what's happening here? This was very quiet. But they were strategizing and looking at their condition. And I think that's the kind of movement, I believe, not that it's wrong to have the conversation, open conversation as we're having now, but it's about coming together collectively with these divergent thoughts and creating this oneness.
Yes.
I believe it's there. I do believe it's there.
Yes.
And I think circumstances may force us to do that. That's what transpired when we had segregation. That was the advantage of it.
Yes. You know, one of the things that stood out with me in discussing this particular subject on at a different time, I'm talking about well over 20 years ago, where this individual took the position in saying, as laudable as what things like you said, which is not arguable. I haven't heard any one point that you said on this subject that leads me to want to challenge it. I see a lot of benefit in what your suggestions are. When it comes around to the individual, how they feel about themselves, that has a lot of influence as to what they would promote and project on the subject that we're talking about. For instance, I oftentimes bring this up, and I know many people don't think it has any great value, which is this. I go through the islands of Bermuda, walking, driving. People get to hear my voice. Oh, that's you on the radio. You know, and they tell me all these thoughts that they have. And then they say this. I really don't want to call in because I don't want somebody recognizing my voice. Now listen to that. They got all this very important, valuable information that they think is worthy of sharing with me, one-on-one. And most times they're in a good space when it comes down to the subject matter they're talking about. But look what holds them back from sharing good information. How somebody's going to see them. And what's going to come if somebody recognizes their voice. And how people will respond back to them after they say what's supposed to be so valuable. So I can't get over how people don't see how that's undermining their own perspective by saying, I don't want to be recognized for saying something of value.
I think that's part of the conditioning that we're wrestling with.
There you go, brother.
That's part of the conditioning. And that kind of speaks to, again, for me, the narrative again, right?
Yes.
Bermuda has been a very oppressive society. As leveraged as it appears. It's been very oppressive.
You have 30 seconds left before the end of the show. 30 seconds.
Okay. And unfortunately, it had a profound impact on many people generationally.
Yes.
And I think until we have these kinds of therapeutic sessions one-on-one and bringing people in and coaching them, it's about growth and progress.
Yes.
They're going to have to want to do that.
Yes.
And I think that this thing is tiered, is layered.
Yes.
You've got those who would be egotistical and boisterous. You got those who want to say some things and afraid to. You got those who have ideas, they'll float it and push it to somebody else. Okay, strategy. But again, I think it's an effort that needs to occur where we begin to break it down and allow people to fit in the area that they're most comfortable working out in. I thank you for your time. I thank you for the work that you do, and may God continue to bless you.
And I thank you for your contribution, and let us continue in this effort, my dear brother.
God willing.
You have the rest of a great evening.
And you as well.
Thank you, dear listening audience, for contributing to our intent and purpose tonight. I would always value the efforts that you make in responding to my request, and in some cases, my desire for you to accommodate the conversation and the subject matter. Let us continue on this vein and only but improve rather than retrogress. No room to step back. Let's keep moving forward. Thank you for tuning in to Balance Matters. Tune in next week. Have the rest of a great evening.
7:30 p.m. here on Magic 102.7 FM.
Bermuda Live on YouTube. Subscribe now.